Hey, welcome back to the channel. Anger is an emotion that we all get impacted by on a daily basis. And it can come out of absolutely nowhere. Sometimes we can just wake up in the morning and we're already upset and we don't even know why. Maybe on the drive to work, somebody cuts you off and that puts you in a bad mood for the rest of the day. Or even in that moment, you're trying to figure out how you're going to pull some revenge off this person who just cut you off. Maybe by cutting them off or whatever it may be, whatever it is, you do what you do. Anger is a real thing. It's a real emotion, but it can also cause real big bad consequences if we manage it the wrong way. And I'm telling you this because recently in my life, as I, talk with friends and, even family members, people that I'm involved with on an everyday basis, I'm just noticing that anger is something that can consume and it can take over your mind. And I don't know about you, but a lot of times I have found myself that when somebody makes me angry, it consumes my thoughts and I just can't unleash it. I can't get over it. And I keep rehearsing the same situation over and over and over. Maybe what was said, and then I put it in a different context of, man, I should have said this. I should have just said something right back. And I'll rehearse that scene in my head, which is not healthy at all, or I'll start rehearsing of what I want to say to them the next time I see a person who made me upset or whatever the situation was, and how I'm going to act on it and how I'm going to get back. And I'm not going to let them feel like they got a one up on me. Whatever it may be, it's just an emotion that engulfs us really quickly. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's so toxic and it can absolutely destroy your life. When I was a teenager, I dealt with such anger because I got so tired of people taking advantage of me. I remember my dad brought me to the gym, I think when I was like 14 or 15 years old. And I was trying to find a way to, spend some more quality time with my father. He had been dealing with cancer at that time. And, so I started working out with him, and little did I know that the workouts started building so much confidence with me. I started feeling really, a lot better about myself, but I also felt like I was a lot more in control, but it wasn't healthy. I was working out so I can take care of things so people wouldn't take advantage of me. I was working out to get stronger, to get meaner, I think. I even went into the military just because I knew I had to get away. But two, I had to deal with why I just had so much anger. And I knew a lot of it had to do with myself. I got just tired of allowing people to take advantage of me. So I wasn't going to let that happen anymore. And it's interesting to me that the thing that could actually be good in my life, which is now good, my workout routine, maintaining good health, taking care of my body, was actually something I was using as a weapon back in the day. I just wanted to not let anybody think they can get a one-up on me. I didn't want anybody to think they could take advantage of me, and I was doing it all wrong. I was allowing anger to create a person inside of me that I didn't even like anymore. Like I couldn't even stand who I was. I was just always looking for the bad. I was like, okay, what's this person gonna do to me? What's that person gonna do to me? I was always looking at life from such a bad lens. And I think a lot of it was because I allowed people to take advantage of me for such a long period of time that I wasn't going to allow that to happen anymore. Now that's my situation. I was able to overcome that. And I'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about how to release anger. But what is your situation? What has gotten you angry? What thoughts are consuming you right now that you just have a hard time releasing? Who's the person in your life that you feel has gotten full control of your mind, and you keep rehearsing what took place over and over and over, and you keep changing that thought of how you would have reacted, what you want to say, the things that you want to do, or whatever situation it is? Maybe it's not a person, maybe it's just maybe it's a situation, maybe it's a job in general. Whatever it may be, what is it for you that is consuming you, that is not allowing you to live the life that you should be living because you're living in such an angry state of mind that it is making you wake up already upset, that even when you want to be happy, you feel like you can't be happy? I think when it comes down to it, you really got to identify where's the anger coming from. And if you've been angry for a long period of time and you realize that you have a very short fuse, where did that fuse begin? How did that fuse ever form. You got to look deep, deep down. And a lot of times it could stem all the way back from a childhood. Maybe you were abused or bullied. Maybe it was a family dynamic of a situation that was not good for you. Now, I say this to you too. When you get angry and you retaliate and you do something to make yourself feel better about that situation, whatever that retaliation is, whatever that emotion is that you act on, whatever is the way that you dealt with the anger, the way you shouldn't have, whatever emotion you allowed to connect and destroy all the emotional intelligence that was there and available for you because you just lost control and you allowed your emotions to take over in that moment. What is usually the outcome? Usually the outcome is either something else comes from that, another consequence, because now it's just a vicious circle, right? It's a vicious cycle. It just keeps going and going and going until someone has to be the mature one to make it stop. So how we look at certain situations when we are angry, we see life through a completely blurred lens, a lens that we only see red. When we can't even see the gifts that are being provided to us, we can't even see the opportunities for people to come into our lives and help us because we don't want it, because we're too stubborn, our ego is too large, and our anger is too thick that we won't even accept it. So how do we get past this? Well, a lot of times, unfortunately, it's about being humble. And until you realize that you have to look at your own life and say, what is the outcome if I keep going down this path? Where am I going to end up? And really think about it. I mean, be honest with yourself. Where am I going to end up if I keep going in this direction? A lot of times, if you finally just sit down and look at the track that you are on and you look down that road, you're not going to see anything good that is going to come around the corner. You're not going to see anything good that is going to ever stop this from happening because you won't even allow the good things to come into your life. You're on a one-track mind. You're on a one-track road that is leading you down a devastating path. And you got to stop it. You got to stop it. You got to come to that fork in the road and you have to choose. You have to choose whether you're going to take the right path, the path toward getting your life back on track and releasing this anger, and finally looking at your life and humbling yourself and saying, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to allow this anger and this emotion to consume me. And you're going to take the right path, or that fork in the road, you're going to keep going down this destructive path and you're going to keep losing people in your life. You're going to keep losing situations and opportunities, and you're going to keep being upset and angry with who you are to the point where it can really lead you to deep depression, deep anxiety, really, really bad health conditions. And that's the last thing you want, is to be mad at you, is to not even like who you are. That is the last thing you want in this life. Sometimes God has to intervene and he has to humble you for you because you won't do it. And it's important. A lot of things in life, a lot of times when you look at people that have hit that rock bottom or had to face adversity at such a deep level, that they look at it as a blessing later on in life. Like, if that thing did not happen, where would I have ended up? I could be dead. I could have lost everything, But the last thing you want to do is have God take over and do the humbling for you. Look, and if you're out there saying, Jason, look, I hear what you're saying. I understand the message, and I would love to be able to do this, but you don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what this person or these people have done to me. I want to release, but I can't let it go, man. Like it's too much. And I feel like I need to either figure out a way to retaliate and make them understand that what they did was wrong. And I want them to feel what I felt. Like, I get all that. Like, you're absolutely right. I am not in a place to say that I fully understand your situation. I hate when people do that, when they say, oh, I understand, and they have no clue. Like, I get it. I understand that portion of it. And you're absolutely right. But when it comes down to it, you know as well as I do that you feel the way you feel, and it's completely justified. But if you keep going down the path you're going, what is ultimately going to happen? It's going to be the definition of insanity of what you've been dealing with this whole time. Nothing is going to change until you choose to change something, even the littlest thing. And the littlest thing could just be acknowledging your anger and where it's coming from and saying, you know what, like, I want to be released from this. Just acknowledging that you want to be released from this is a good start. But I will say this, in Romans 19, this verse says a lot that could absolutely help. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. There's only so much that you're going to be able to do. And no matter what you think you have to do in order to feel better, there's nothing that you can do that is going to be any stronger than what God can do for you. He will make sure that things are taken care of. You don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about you. And if you keep allowing the people or the person that hurt you or whatever situation it was, you are letting them win because you are not allowing yourself to live the life that you deserve. A life of freedom, a life of being able to free yourself from the thoughts and the negativity and the vengefulness that you have, where you can just finally have clarity and see a life in front of you that you absolutely deserve, and you don't need to allow what happened to consume you. Leave. I know for some of you that may not be as strong in faith as I am, because I truly believe this, but leave it up to God. Give it to God and let him take care of it, because you'll be so much happier when you take care of you. And you'll be able to live a life that is going to make you feel so much free when you release this anger. And again, I understand in the place that you are, this is easier said than done. But I think we can both agree that it would be a good start to choose to do something for yourself that you finally deserve, whatever little action that may be. And I think that little action could just be finally saying, I don't want to live like this. I want to release myself. My dad lived with so much anger when I was a kid, and he was always so temperamental. I idolized him as a person. He was always active. He was working out. I felt like there was nothing that he couldn't do. Like, he was Superman to me, and he still is. But he dealt with so much anger, and that anger would manifest out of absolutely nowhere for even the smallest things. And that part of him I never understood, until I talked with him and found out about his childhood and him being bullied and having to get in all these fights going back and forth from school and everything. Like, I had to understand where he was coming from to understand where the anger lied. And I don't think he actually ever came to terms with how to deal with that anger. But when he started relying on God, I saw a different side of him, and I could even see that he was even at more peace. And I'm not going to lie, that anger still manifested every now and then, but it was never as detrimental as it was before he knew God, before he had that faith, and before he relinquished and said, God, take control, have control of my life. I don't want to deal with this anymore, and he was a completely different person, and he was happier and he was more lively. And it almost felt like something just kind of released from him, And again, I would be lying if I said that he didn't get angry anymore. Like, those things, like, he did, but it was more controlled. Like, you could tell as soon as it would happen that he would calm down, and he would go and he'd pray about it and it would be released. Or sometimes when I was a kid, that anger would hold and be there for a long period of time. And I actually felt really bad for him because I didn't want to see him like this. Because when you don't understand the deep-hearted rooted anger, it's hard to know how to help someone you love, especially when it was my father and I'm just a kid. How am I supposed to do that? I don't even know where it's coming from, But I was so proud of him when I saw the changes that he was willing to make in his life, and you could see how substantial they were when he just allowed God to have control. And it made me have so much more respect, to the point where I started looking at some of my internal anger that I had, and it made me realize that, wow, I need to do something with this. So you never know the impact that you can make once you make a change. And other people that are dealing with the same situation, when they see you be able to change your life and overcome some of these issues, that it's going to be a trickle effect and you can change another person's life. And you never know the lesson that you're going to have, that when you are finally able to release yourself from anger, whatever it is, even ego is a big one too. And that's probably a topic for another video, that when you release it, that you are going to be a different person, that people are going to start seeing the drastic changes in your life. You're going to be happier. You're going to be more free. You're going to feel so much more alive that it's going to be hard for people not to notice. And the right person who might be dealing with something that you dealt with is going to see the change and want to make a change as well. You are going to be influential in other people's lives by taking this moment and choosing to be happy and not to allow anger to consume you. So guys, I hope this message helps you. This was one that was on my heart. This is one that I've been wanting to talk to you for a very long time, just because it was deep rooted in me because of my father. Now my father has passed away, but that watching that change and who he became, because I remember him as a child and I remember in my teenage years who he became, and I'll never forget that. And I have so much respect for that change that he made. And my mother, she's an angel. She absolutely is. She tolerated a lot of that anger with my dad, and she was there for him. But when he started changing, they changed together. And honestly, it was a beautiful thing to see. And I want that for you guys. I want you to feel the influence that God can make in your life when you release the anger, but just the release of the anger and those emotional feelings that are overwhelming you. I want to see you be free. I hope this video helps you guys, and I love you all.